Seeing how the hour of 9 o'clock has come and passed, we would like to open up the Commerce Committee meeting. Katie, could you please take the roll?
Chairman Lawrence,
Here.
Barger,
Designation.
Marla Brown,
Designation.
Diorsi, Gatos,
Designation.
Lime, Labs,
Designation. She's online.
Here.
Marcel, Olsummer,
Designation.
Shuren, Schaefer,
Designation.
Torzik,
Designation.
Chairman Conklin,
Here.
Bellman,
Vote by designation.
Amon Brown,
Vote by designation.
Carroll,
Designation.
Sapita Fertiz, Cephas,
Designation.
Harris,
Designation.
Kenyatta,
Designation.
Monroe,
Designation.
Here.
Nelson.
Oh. Online, but
I'm
still
just
by
online,
designation.
Chairman. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Yep.
Nelson,
Designation.
Parker,
Designation.
Pielli,
Designation.
Rab,
Designation.
Sanchez.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you. For the first order of business, I'd like to call up House Bill 1512, printer's number 1768. And Dare, could you please read the summary?
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, members. House Bill 1512, sponsored by Representative Mullins, establishes the Freestanding Right to Repair Act.
The question is, will we report the bill? Are there any comments, questions before I do? Is Mullins here? There it is. Sorry, Representative, I looked straight past you. I saw the beautiful people behind you, and I was no longer focused on you. I apologize. We're proud to have Chairman Lawrence has some constituents here today. We'd like to thank you for coming. Would you like to make any comments on the bill before we begin? In that case, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Conklin, Chairman Lawrence, and members of the committee. This bill is, the genesis for this bill is quite simple, and it came to me in a twofold way. One, as a consumer protection and consumer convenience matter, that we should have the right to repair our electronics and other things that we own, and also we have become such a throwaway culture that we should be have the ability to repair things and prevent them from entering our landfills. So, with that, I would just urge everyone's consideration of those merits as well as the bill itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any questions or comments on the bill? Seeing none, Chairman Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This issue is timely. I have no doubt of the good intentions of the prime sponsor, the good gentleman from Lackawanna. My own family has had challenges with repairing farm equipment because of the types of challenges that this bill, I believe, is trying to address. While this bill does not specifically address farm equipment, the issues in the underlying bill are similar. With that being said, I will be a no vote on the bill today. I believe there are several provisions of the bill as drafted that candidly aren't workable, including distinctions between authorized repair provider and independent repair provider, and even how the business defines the term tools. So with that, I will be a no vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for myself, I want to thank you for bringing it forward before us again. I really, from talking to many consumers, I believe it may not be the perfect product coming out of committee, but I believe it's something that we should vote out of committee. And if there are ways that we can improve it on the floor, I'm sure you'd be open to talking to anybody. Okay, thank you. Katie, roll call vote.
Chairman Lawrence,
No.
Barger,
No by designation.
Marla Brown,
No by designation.
Diorsi, Gatos, Lime, Labs,
No by designation.
Marcel, Olsummer,
Yes, by designation.
Shuren,
No.
Schaefer, Torzik.
No by designation.
Okay, Chairman Conklin.
Thank you, Katie. All Democrats will be voting yes.
Okay. On the question, the ayes are 15 and the nays are 11.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. The bill is passed as reported. The bill will be reported. I'd like next to call up House Bill 1553, printers number 1835. Indira, could you please give us an overview of the bill?
Thank you, Chairman. House Bill 1553, sponsored by Representative Sanchez, amends Title VII Banks and Banking by providing overdraft protection for customers of banking institutions and members of credit unions.
Thank you. Would Representative Sanchez like to make any comments on the bill before we move for the vote? Or
Ye-
before we move for further questions?
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for recognizing me, and thank you to the chairman for calling this up today, and the members for your attention on this important bill. Today I'm presenting House Bill 1553, a modest but meaningful step toward protecting customers from excessive overdraft and non-sufficient funds fees, which is NSF is short for non-sufficient funds fees. This bill does four simple things to protect customers. Number one, it caps the fees banks and credit unions can charge for overdraft and NSF, limits how many times those fees can be charged per customer per day, requires clear, upfront disclosure of all fees so customers know what to expect, and last, stops NSF fees on declined transactions. In other words, you can't be charged when a transaction doesn't go through. These changes aim to stop people from being buried in compounding fees and bring fairness and transparency back to everyday banking. At a time of rising prices from groceries to clothing to utilities, people simply can't afford these excessive fees when they're already on tight budgets. Excessive fees disproportionately impact low to moderate income people and our seniors on fixed incomes. We must ensure that financial institutions are clear about their fees and that they don't engage in predatory practices like not clearly disclosing fees and enacting excessive practices on consumers. People should be able to trust their bank or credit union with their hard-earned cash, not be taken advantage by them and fall into a further cycle of debt because of them. I can tell you this is happening to our constituents who are already struggling and who cannot simply go shopping for another bank. These are people who are trying not to put essentials on a high-interest credit card. These are people who a $40 overdraft charge could mean the difference between a family missing a meal. After conducting extensive research into the fee structures of state-chartered banks and credit unions that have websites, I found that only 4 credit unions charge overdraft fees of $15 or less. Among all the banks reviewed, just one imposes a $15 overdraft fee. The majority, however, set fees at far higher levels, with 2 institutions charging $40. Some institutions, which I'm not going to name here, charge as much as $36 per overdraft, with daily limits that can total $216, $35 for up to 4 overdraft or NSF transactions per day, with an additional daily fee of $8 after an account remains overdrawn for more than 4 consecutive business days. Some institutions impose an overdraft transfer fee on top of the overdraft fee. These practices can quickly escalate a small overdraft and NSF into a cycle of debt and turn someone living paycheck to paycheck into someone who falls behind and never ever catches up, no matter how hard they work. House Bill 1553 will bring fairness and clarity to overdraft and NSF fees by setting sensible limits and enforcing transparency. The data clearly shows that this legislation is both necessary and overdue. More importantly, it will protect people who are already struggling to make ends meet and to reassure them that their bank or credit union is a place they can trust to safeguard their hard-earned money, not siphon it from them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Marcel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a quick question. When I was looking through the definitions in various parts of the language, there's a lot of mention of like federal banks, federally chartered credit unions, things like that. So this bill is drafted and it's mentioning these definitions, but would a large federal bank be included in this?
Thank you for the question, Representative. We believe they'd be preempted from this state law.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that. My concern is that some of the largest banks are the ones that are not going to be affected by this, but the community banks in my district would be. So I appreciate the intent of this, but I just have to express my concern that some of the local community banks that are really, putting time into our communities and helping us, whether it's from a nonprofit perspective or just giving back to the community, would be impacted. But I do appreciate the intent of the bill. Thank you very much.
And thank you. And I do hear that. And I guess it would come down to a business decision for those community banks if they, wanted to seek the federal charter and the status, and if they found that to be a more competitive way to proceed. But that I would submit respectfully that would be working it on the backs of their own community members, and perhaps they might try to find another way to be competitive, which is offering better rates and less of the overdraft fees that would attract more consumers and help with a volume business. Thanks.
Thank you, Representatives. Representative Diorsi?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I oppose this bill for the simple fact that its constitutionality is at best questionable. In my opinion, Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution forbids conflicting state law to supersede or preempt federal law. I think a pretty strong case can be made that this bill is unconstitutional, and for that reason, I can't support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Glean?
Thank you. I also have the same concerns as my colleagues, but I also just want to say that instead of this type of legislation, maybe we ought to work to prevent overdrafts. And we can do that through financial literacy. I think that we have a culture right now that doesn't actually watch what they're spending, and they just go in online and think that's what they have. And so then they overdraft their account. So that would be my solution to the problem. And I also agree that I don't think that we should be pushing the community banks towards a federal charter. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any other questions before Chairman Lawrence? Seeing none, Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief for the reasons outlined by some of my colleagues and for a couple others that, just to keep the meeting along, I will not go into. I also will be opposed to the legislation. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And just one quick comment. I do appreciate all the comments put forward today, and I also appreciate what many of our banks do. I can tell you that I've been personally involved with individuals who are on fixed incomes, who had automatic withdrawals taken out for electric bills or others, and they spiked and they had inadvertently overdrafted. But I'm proud to say that our small town community banks were able to work with them and alleviate those fees so they were not charged. So the only reason I say that, I just don't want it to look like we're after the banking industry, which we're not. But with that said, roll call vote.
Chairman Lawrence,
No.
Barger,
No by designation.
Marla Brown,
No by designation.
Diorsi, Gados, Klein, Labs,
No by designation.
Marcel, Olsummer,
No by designation.
Shuren,
No.
Schaefer, Torzik,
No by designation.
Chairman Conklin.
Yes, all Democrats will be voting yes to move this to the floor.
Okay, on the question, the ayes are 14 and the nays are 12.
The bill will be reported to the floor. Are there any other concerns or topics we'd like to discuss before we adjourn? Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.